Hi, good evening everyone. Today is the day 19 of the Gear Up Mains Answer Writing. In this week, we are discussing the polity and constitution governance question. Those who are new here, we are taking the session of the previous year question. In the morning, we are providing the question. You people can write the answer and submit to the Edukemy website. So daily at 6 p.m. from Monday to Friday, I am taking the discussion of the same questions. Main idea behind these classes to understand the main demand of the question, what is the key words given in the question and how these keywords can be addressed. How you can present your answer in a better way. How you can add some of the cases, some of the case study in your answers, how you can link with the real-time examples, you can add the maps also. So this is the clear idea behind this discussion. If you are new one, those who are writing first time or those who are writing the first time mains examination this year, this is going to be very beneficial for them. Okay, so let's start with the today's discussion. The today's question is the most famous incident, the Representation of People Act 1951. Everybody know the Rahul Gandhi disqualification as a member of parliament recently. Similarly, there was many disqualification from 2014 to 2022. And maybe we can say there is a many election related dispute is going on related to the disqualification of MP. This topic has become the very important, the Representation of People Act. If you analyze the question paper of the UPSC, you will find out more than 10-11 questions are in the UPSC from 2013 to 2022 related to the Election Commission or the Representation of People Act. So this is the question related to the RPA Act of 1951. So what is the question? On what ground a people representative can be disqualified? A people representative can be disqualified under the RPA Act of 1951. This is the first part of the question. Second part also mention the remedies available to such person against his disqualification. So there are the two part of the question. The first part is how a member of parliament or the member of legislative assembly can be disqualified under the RPA Act of 1951. And second part of the question is demanding what are the remedies available to those MPs and MLA, those who are disqualified under this act. So the question is demanding the two part as it was the 15 marker question in the 2019 UPSC CSE exam. So we need to address both the part. We will make different separate subheadings for the both parts. One heading for the in which condition an MP and MLA can be disqualified from the parliament or the legislative assembly. And the second part, what are the following remedies available for MPs and MLA who are disqualified under the Representation of People Act 1951. Okay. Whenever you are reading a question, you need to make subheadings according to the question keywords. Like here are the question keywords, the ground. People Representative Act can be disqualified. So you will make this subheading directly. Then you can make the second subheading, the remedies available from the question itself. तो आप अपने से कोई subheadings ना बनाएं. It will better please choose the subheadings from the question itself. Okay. So as usual, we will divide the question in the three part. One part will be the introduction, second part is the body part, and the third part is the conclusion of the question. In the first part, the Representation of People Act, we will define what is the RPA and what was the major objective to introduction for the RPA. Representation of People Act was introduced specifically for making the politics clean, controlling the corruption in the politics, to check on the members, those who are fighting the elections, their spending on election, in which case they can be disqualified if they are doing something against the RP Act of 1951. So you can write the major aim and objective of the Representation of People Act of 1951 in the introduction itself. Because the question main demand is here, we need to write down about the Representation of People Act, how it can disqualify the MPs and MLA, and what are the remedies available. So it's a clean question about the RP Act of 1951. Clear? Then we will come to the body part. In the body part, we will write the two separate headings. One headings about the how it can disqualify the MP and MLA, and in the second part, we will write about the remedies. So you will write each part with each subheadings, and it will be better if you can give a reference of the any cases related to it, if you can add some of the example in it. Okay, that will be the more value addition to this type of the question. So let's move to the first part, the disqualification provisions under the Representation of People Act 1951, under which an MP and MLA can be disqualified. So you can write down these points in this sequence, you can write the answer in the paper also. So the first is the convicted for offences. Conviction for offences. If any MP and MLA are convicted under the IPC Act, UAPA Act, Prevention of the Terrorism Act, under the Section 8 of the Representation of People Act of 1951, he or she can be disqualified under the RP Act. If anyone MP or MLA is convicted under the IPC Act, Indian Penal Code, Prevention of Terrorism Act, UAPA Act, under the Section 8, then MPs and MLA can be disqualified. Then the sentence for imprisonment. If any MP and MLA are getting an imprisonment of more than 2 years, if any MP and MLA is getting an imprisonment of 2 or more than 2 years in any of the case, then he can be disqualified for those 2 years plus the next 6 years after the release of the person from the jail. 2 years the imprisonment time, and after the release of the period it will be the 6 years. Means if the one candidate is disqualified for the once, then it can be maximum 8 years he will be disqualified. Like take an example of the Rahul Gandhi. He was disqualified from today itself. Take an example, if he disqualified from today itself, then the disqualification time period will be from July 23 to July 25. The 2 years of imprisonment. The 2 years of imprisonment plus the next 6 years. Means Rahul Gandhi cannot fight the election till 2031 if he disqualified under the Representation of People Act 1951. अगर आज ही वो डिस्क्वालीफाई हो जाते हैं तो he cannot fight the election till 2031. So this is the impact of the RPA Act of 1951 under the disqualification. Okay, clear? Then the next point can be the office of profit. The office of profit. The office of profit is not clearly mentioned in the Indian Constitution, and it can be changed from the time to time. If any MP or MLA is convicted, he is having an office of profit in the government of India or in any of the state government, and he is taking the profit illegally. So he or she can be disqualified under the RP Act of 1951. Then the corrupt practices under the Section 8 of the RPA Act of 1951, giving the bribery to the voters during the election time, horse trading of the MPs and MLA, or any of the corrupt practices finding in the corrupt practices of the related to some of the money he's transferring to the foreign country, under the FCRA Act of the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act of 1951, then he or she can be disqualified under the RPA Act of the 1951, or the money laundering, we can say. If he finding involved in the money laundering, then he can be disqualified under this act. Then the failure of lodge election expenses. There is a certain limit given for the election expenses if any person is not able to give the details of its election expenses during the Lok Sabha or during the Legislative Assembly election. Then the person will be disqualified by the Election Commission of India because he is not able to give the detail of the expenses. Take an example. If any person is subjected to spend 20 lakh rupee for Legislative Assembly election and he is spending more than 1 crore, but he is not able to give the details to the Election Commission of India regarding his expenses, then he will be disqualified from the post of the MPs or MLA. You can mention the Lok Prahari case. You can mention about the Lok Prahari case in it. The Lok Prahari case in which the Supreme Court judgment related to the failure of the election expenses. Then the section 123 of the Representation of People Act, if somebody is finding related to bribery, related to the undue influence on any of the voters, appealing criteria means he is appealing related to some casteism, SC/ST related, booth capturing, he is involved in the booth capturing. In that case, it's the discretion of the Election Commission of India, he or she can be disqualified related to these terms. So these are some of the provisions under the Representation of People Act 1951, under which MP and MLA can be disqualified. And a disqualification term is given if any MP or MLA getting a term of the 2 years, then up to the next 6 years he cannot fight the election. I hope this is clear to everyone under the which of the following provisions the MPs and MLA can be disqualified. Okay, now move to the part, what are the major remedies available to the person who disqualified for the elections, who disqualified from the post of the Member of Parliament and from the post of the Member of Legislative Assembly. What are the remedies available? The first remedies we can say, disqualified only after convictions. Okay, before going to this part, I am going to tell you a recent Supreme Court judgment related to the anti-defection law. Initially, what was that, if the 2/3 member of Parliament or the member of Legislative Assembly switching to the other party, he or she will not be disqualified. The incidents going into the Maharashtra, if the 2/3 of the members of the Parliament or the member of Legislative Assembly of a party is switching to the another party, they will not be disqualified. But in the recent judgment of the Supreme Court, in the Shiv Sena case, they said that it is not only the number of MPs and MLA, it is the number of MP, MLA, the person who is sitting on the key post of the party organizers, they will also be counted. They are in the favor of which of the following part of the party. So all the members of the party which are on the key post, the members of MP, MLA, MLC, all will be included, and then the number will be counted, the 2/3. Then only the anti-defection law will not be applicable there. Otherwise, the anti-defection law will be applicable. This was the decision given by the Supreme Court in the Shiv Sena case, when the one fraction of the Shiv Sena is moved to the BJP and the another fraction is the Uddhav Shiv Sena. One is the Shinde Shiv Sena and the second is the Uddhav Shiv Sena. In that case, the Supreme Court gave this judgment. Okay, so now come to the second part of the question, remedies for the disqualified person. What are the remedies available? Number one remedy is disqualified only after conviction. If any court is taking the action against any of the MP or the MLA and he is announcing the term of the 2 years, then only he can be disqualified. If the case is going on and the MPs and MLA are not convicted for that region, then he will not be disqualified. He will not be disqualified until and unless the case is going on into the court. He only will be disqualified when there will be a complete conviction. Term disqualification. The term disqualification, minimum term is given the 2 years. The minimum term for a disqualification is given under the RP Act of 1951 is 2 years. If any MP or MLA getting the term less than 2 years, he or she will not be disqualified. So this is the second remedies available. If any person is getting less than 2 years of the jail under the conviction, he or she will not be disqualified. Then the fixed term conviction, then the same point we can say there is some fixed term is announced. Then appeal to the court. In appeal to the court, like in the case of the Rahul Gandhi, we can say Rahul Gandhi was convicted by the Gujarat High Court. Then in that case, Rahul Gandhi filed a complaint in the court again, and the case is going on. Case is going on and his disqualification is on hold. Maybe his disqualification is now on hold until and unless there is a complete judgment on the case, the member cannot be disqualified. Then the role of Election Commission of India. In some of the certain cases, the Election Commission of India can decrease the term of the conviction. In some of the extraordinary cases, the Election Commission can decrease the term of the conviction of the MPs and MLA. These are some of the remedies available to the MP and MLA when they are disqualified under the Representation of People Act 1951. So you need to be mentioned these two parts. The one part was related to the disqualification provision under the RP Act of 1951, and the second was what was the remedies available for the disqualified person. So you need to be mentioned these both parts in your answer. Now come to the conclusion part. What you will write in the conclusion? You can write both the side of the RPA. You will write the positive aspect of the RPA. RPA was introduced for controlling the corruption practice, controlling the criminal practice, criminalization of politics को control करने के लिए the RPA of 1951 was introduced. In the some of the extent, it was successful. But in some of the another cases, the RPA is not successful. You can mention some of the example related to it, where the number of the criminal political parties, the members are in the criminal, those are fighting the election through a political party, is increasing on day by day. And the cases is going on, but there is no conviction. So you can mention these kind of the example, which is delaying the process, which is make so that the RPA become null and void in the some specific cases. So you can mention some of the example in the conclusion as well. So you can write introduction by defining the aims and objective of the Representation of People Act 1951. Then you can write about what are the major procedure under which an MP or MLA can be disqualified under the RP Act of 1951. Then what are the remedies available for that disqualified person? Then finally we will conclude the answer. So this is the major demand of the question you need to be addressed in this part. I hope this is clear to everyone. Tomorrow we will meet with the new question related to the polity and constitution. I will request you, please try to write the answer so it can be evaluated. Please try to understand the demand of the question. Please compare your answer with these points. You are writing on the same line or not. That is a requirement of this examination. If you are not following this procedure, maybe there can be the issue with the answer writing. So please try to brainstorm, try to write the answers, try to write answer in the subheadings form, work on your presentation part and fulfill the demand of the answer. When we are checking the answers of the various students, we are seeing they are not addressing the complete demand, what the UPSC is asking. वी आर जस्ट राइटिंग बट वी नो, जो हमने पढ़ा हम वही लिख रहे हैं. What we learn, that only we are writing. We are not addressing. We are not addressing the demand. But for this UPSC, we need to address the specific demand of the question. Each question has its own specific demand. Within the time bound limit, we need to write. So we should have a proper content, proper answer writing practice, and a good presentation to get the good marks in the general study for the UPSC exam. Okay, so we will meet tomorrow at the same time, 6 p.m. with a new question related to the polity and the governance. Thank you very much.